Chase Leaki with the blue futon, and like I watched Cursed, now it's time for Uncharted. Is it as bad as some of these YouTubers and critics are saying, or is it just a straight fun time in the theater? Let's find out. So Uncharted, what's it about? Very simple premise. Nathan Drake, Sully, Treasure Hut, throughout who's the bad guy, who's going to get backstabbed, and let's just go and watch this movie. I'm not going to talk a lot about like the plot and everything like this because I'm seeing a lot of YouTubers. Some of them are just getting like, oh, it's not like the video game. It's not like the video game. Okay, here's the thing. These video games, there's 4 of them, if you want to put it that way. 5 if you want to call the Lost Legacy. These are long, 10, 18-hour stories that flesh through in and throughout of like just so many things where it could go supernatural, goes through the Nazis. Like there's a shit ton of them. Here they gotta put it in a 2-hour movie and try to introduce Nathan Drake, introduce Sam, his brother, introduce Sully, introduce Chloe, and introduce the bad guys as well, and get these set pieces through and throughout very quick and very just perfectly. And I think it does its job. This is the director of Venom, Zombieland, Gangster Squad. So you know what you're getting yourself into. He does a lot of stuff that the critics don't like and the fans do. And his movies flow. No pacing issue with a lot of his movies because he goes from point A to point B. Boom, boom, boom. Let's get to the point. Not a lot of fluff. And this movie doesn't have a lot of fluff. I'm hearing a lot of negative reviews about, oh, it's not like the video game, man. There's no chemistry. Disagree. I think there's chemistry between Sully and Nathan Drake. They just met, so it's not going to be like, oh, perfect buddy, but it is there. Or people were talking about what other things that it just felt flat. The story wasn't there. The bad guy wasn't good. I don't know. I'm a National Treasure sucker, Indiana Jones, stuff like that. And if you like stuff like that, you're going to like this movie. I'm comparing it to the last treasure hunter movie I saw, Red Notice. Red Notice is fucking garbage compared to Uncharted. Well, actually, Red Notice is a really bad movie in general with horrible CGI and stuff like that. Red Notice is just unforgettably bad. Uncharted, I had a fun time. People in my theater had a fun time. Like it was a very breezy 2 hours, and you're like, oh, this is going pretty quick. And there are some good, storytelling things where like, okay, I like how they did the video game, that with the video game, especially with the straps, as well as who the voice actor is in Uncharted. Nolan, I think, Nolan something, I totally forgot his name, but he kind of makes a cameo in this movie as well. You gotta watch for it. It's a pretty fun one. And I know some people are saying things of like, oh, well, there's a random hole in here and a little hole, so I wonder why they haven't seen it in 500 years. That's fine. It does in every fucking movie. We're in a society now where we can see a lot of things going underground and stuff like that, so it's very hard to not have a treasure hunter movie where like, oh, that's unrealistic, that's unrealistic. And there's also another complaint where people are like, well, something's just so perfectly there of like, they need to do something. It's in a Papa John's and how everything is demolished except the one thing they need. I guess you haven't been to Europe where they do that. There's a lot of construction, for example, in Berlin of trying to keep history and, the Nazi symbols and stuff like that. And, trying to make everything modernized and try and figure out A to B to A to B. It happens, it's in Portugal too. Like, it's everywhere in Europe because that's kind of where the modern world started, in the European area. Where people say, oh, people can say Asia, but it's like, you know what? It's everywhere. At that time, Asia was doing spices, stuff like that, in the modern world of like, just it was everywhere a part of that world. So I don't like those kind of tropes of like people, oh, that's just so convenient, so convenient. Every fucking movie does that. So I don't know why this one all of a sudden you're like, you can't do it to this one. But maybe I want to say I had low expectations. I went for the Uncharted movie thinking it's not going back to the video game. I personally enjoy doing younger Nathan Drake and younger Sully because why start old and then all of a sudden you're like, oh fuck, we're 3 movies in and now they can't really move. Look at what Harrison Ford's doing. He could barely goddamn walk with even a hat on. He could barely fly a plane. He crashes his plane every time he goes. So doing these younger versions, it works with me. I don't care. Any faults? Yeah, it's pretty speedy where it's like scene, and there's not a lot of time in between to do some character development of like who this Chloe character actually is and what has Sully done to Sam, what has Sully done to Chloe. And I've heard, complaints of like there's a lot of backstabbing, like backstab. But that's kind of like that in the video game as well, of like, what's Sully gonna do? Is Sully gonna come back? This Chloe chick, is she gonna come back? What's he gonna do? And there's a good coordinates thing at the very end where Nathan Drake is like, oh, either you're gonna backstab me or you're gonna let me know what you're gonna do and we can go together. So there's this fun stuff like that. But overall, I had a fun time with this movie. I enjoyed the crap out of National Treasure. Like, that's the one movie where it's like, yeah, that's on the TV. Let's watch it. National Treasure 2, hell yeah. So maybe I'm just a sucker for this stuff, and people saying like, oh, it's just not good at all. Don't listen to them. If you just want a fun time in a movie, watch Uncharted. If you haven't played the video game, I think you're going to like it. If you play the video game, you got to think like, look, you're playing either a 15-hour single-player movie or game, and this is a 2-hour movie. Your expectations can't be that high. And these are the same people that said like, oh, expectations for this one, like, that's impossible, that's impossible. But then when they watch like Army of the Dead, they're like, that's a good thing. But you're like, the Army of the Dead scenarios make a fuck ton less sense than Uncharted. But you're just gonna ignore Zack Snyder shit and not Uncharted. Fuck off. So this double standard shit, like, you gotta at least say like, they're both unrealistic, but this is more fun. Yes, both of them are unrealistic, but for Uncharted's way more realistic than fucking Army of the Dead. Let's be honest, Army of the Dead helicopter thing, it's like, and then just stupid character choices in Army of the Dead just made up shit. But Uncharted, I enjoyed the crap out of it. So let's give it a 4 out of 5 with Futon. It goes at 80%. So let's see the critics' new scores gave this one. Uncharted, you have the critics a 39% with 170 of them. Audience score 87% with over 100. Here's critic consensus. Promising cast but misleadingly titled. Uncharted minds its best-selling source material to produce a disappointing echo of superior adventure films. I'm curious, what did Red Notice get? So Uncharted's at 39, I swear to God. Okay, Red Notice is at 36. Audience score 92. They're fucking high. So Uncharted is way better than 3% more than Red Notice. But maybe, like I said, I just went in. I want to have a fun time. Turn off my brain. Had some laughs. Had some good set pieces. Had some Butterfingers. Yes, some Butterfingers. And some nachos. And I was like, give me more. So what do we have? 39, 87, 80. Chase Lack with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of Futon-topia. Your Blue Futonians. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. And are you going to hate it? Are you going to like it? Like I said, I've seen a lot of these people just being more like, People need to, maybe they have a stick up their butt and just be like, hey, I just want to enjoy something. Like, it's time to just have some fun. This is 2 hours of straight up fun. What else can I ask for?